but I'm really not his child because I haven't received that love. He wants children. He doesn't want you to do it in your own strength. Because the new covenant is an everlasting covenant where he acts and he wills. It's not my action. It's just filthy rags. Doesn't matter how much you pray and fast. When it's done in that psychological meanness, it goes nowhere. Okay? But he wants faith in his goodness, that we trust in him, we're dependent on him like a little child, like a baby at the mother's breast. And when we all function in that simplicity of faith, in that oneness, in that unity, trusting in God, you will see the impossible happen. I'm just going to ask Maria to come up and share.
I could have used Julie's notes and it would have been my testimony, but I'll flesh it out a little bit. This will be a little different in that I'll give you an account of the events as it was happening in the spiritual as well as what was happening in the natural. I'm basically going to talk about my health. In the natural, I was a very fit young lady playing a lot of sport. At the age of 23, my knees were starting to deteriorate and I had my first knee operation. At age 25, I was diagnosed with cancer. 2.5 years after that, I had a relapse with the cancer. In May this year, I had a single heart bypass. Up until right now, at the age of 42, I've had a total of 29 operations, 5 of those being major. Now let's look at what was happening in the spiritual. At the age of 5, I made a dreadful decision that changed the course of my life. My nighttime routine was to clean my teeth, hop into my pyjamas, kiss mum and dad goodnight, and then hop into bed. This particular night, I did all those things except I forgot to kiss mum and dad goodnight. And my dad called for me from the lounge room to come out, and he really ripped into me for sneaking off to bed without kissing them goodnight. Now, as I was walking back to my bedroom, I remember saying, "If that's love, I don't want it, yuck." And from that night on, I began to withdraw from my parents in every way. I stepped out from under their authority and made the decision, not a conscious one, to look after myself. In doing that, I stepped out from their authority and in turn out from the authority of God. So I grew up thinking that I had to look after my needs, all of them. As a child growing up, I remember praying to God for appendicitis, for the sole reason that I would get a break from my family for a couple of days. This began an awful pattern in my life. That is, when life got too hard, I wanted to get sick and be in hospital so someone else could look after me. The truth of that last statement was it should read, I wanted to get sick and be in hospital so I could stop looking after myself. This pattern strongly manifested itself in my life as testimony to the number of operations that I had had. The point at which I became scared for my life was after the heart bypass. I was in a rehab hospital recovering when I went into afibrillation, and I was taken by ambulance to Westmead Hospital. By God's grace, he opened my eyes to the danger I was in and that my very life was at risk if I did nothing. 2 months later, when the bypass had collapsed and was blocked, I sought immediate pastoring help. I received this pastoring, and all that I've mentioned was prayed through. I repented where I needed to and renounced what had to be renounced. In particular, and most importantly, I renounced the right to be sick, the right to protect myself. I placed myself again under the authority of my parents and God, and right order was restored. As a fruit of this restoration, I have noticed that my prayer life has increased. I can hear him again. I'm no longer spiritually deaf. Prayer time is now interactive, and this is such a great joy to me, and I love being close to him again. This morning in prayer, I was feeling very dry, and it was as hard. And to stop getting distracted, I turned to the Word and into the Psalms and just found places where I could declare my desire for him, especially Psalm 64. But I was shaken. I just noticed that was an attack from Satan. And when I got here today, someone gave me a little envelope, and they just said it was as if it was a present from God. And I had a quick peek inside, and my heart was broken. Like, I know that I'm not abandoned by God, and that the blockage that this was has been broken.
See, Maria has a wonderful testimony, and she came to a place, you don't mind me, she came to a place where she knew that she couldn't go forward because there were certain obstacles in her life. She couldn't receive the Holy Spirit. And as she received counselling, you know, she could see that she had set herself up with a right to be sick, you know, and that just causes separation from God. And as she repented for that, she not only received healing in her soul, but she received a physical healing too, her heart. You know, she had how many operations? 29 operations. But she has received physical healing also. And that was killing you, Maria, wasn't it? I mean, that was killing her. It was literally killing her. Okay? And so we can say that the reason for that, or that negativity that happened in your life, was how you set yourself up in your own right in order to protect yourself. And you had full right to do it. She had full right to do it because it wasn't pleasant what she was going through. It wasn't pleasant. Okay. And what happened to Maria was wrong. What happens to a lot of us when we are under abusive authority is wrong. And I want to recognise that. It's wrong. Absolutely wrong. But at the same time too, is that we respond in a sinful way to that abusive authority. That's what we do. That's how we survive. We respond in a sinful way. And that is basically, it's spiritual rebellion, where we set ourselves up saying, right, my parents aren't going to help me, they're not going to protect me, so I have to do it myself. And so we function in a legalism, just as Satan functions in a legalism. We make vows, and we're bound to those vows until we renounce them, until we renounce our right to be in that place. And the Lord never, ever refuses a humble and a contrite heart. Never, ever. Otherwise, he's not God. We're wasting our time. But I have the privilege of praying with many people in the community and out of the community. Wonderful, wonderful privilege to pray for people in this very basic spiritual understanding that sets people free. But you see, we have a free will. We have a free will. Created in God's image and likeness, we have a free will. We can choose to stay in our own legalism, in our own hardness of heart, in our own separation, rejection and abandonment. We can choose to stay there. Or we can choose the harder pathway